see, let's do your money line. Good money line, really good. That starts at the end of the headline, and it goes up towards the mercury finger. Each line is an income. So between the head and the heart line, that's about age 20, 30, and half of 40, and then it crosses the heart line about 45, and then is the rest of your life after that. So the explanation is between the sun and the mercury finger. One line, one income in your, let's see, in your 20s and 30s. And then I get two lines in your 40s. And then it crosses over there. And in your, then I get four lines in your 50s. And then it comes back to two lines again in your 60s, 70s, and 80s. So you're going to do something in your 50s that brings some income in. Okay, right underneath that mercury finger, this is your marriages, relationships, and children. Now, see where the little flirt lines are? They're little tassels. Yours are good. They're not overly so. And then that section between the flirt lines and the ring around the mercury finger, marriages and relationships go horizontal from the outside of the hand to the inside, and the children lines come down from the ring around the mercury finger. So the children are in green. I see two children in there. That's what you got, isn't it? I couldn't see your stepchildren because you had your hand turned a little bit. I need a straight on look at that right from the side. So, but I could see some of the other kids in there. If you got stepkids and you pay attention to them, if you bond with them, they generally will show in your hand. These are children that you have bonded with. Okay. Starting now at the flirt lines, you divide that section into thirds. Going up from the flirt lines, that first third is about age 20, 30. Next section is 40, 50, and the last section's 60, 70, 80. So I see one relationship line there. That's red, before your marriages, and I see two marriages. First marriage, very good, nice color, it's straight and even, nice looking marriage. And then the second marriage is a little bit later in your life. It's a lot shorter than the first line. It tips up on the end. It generally indicates that you'll pass away before the spouse does. That second marriage, it's not unusual to see two marriage lines in a woman's hand. Men don't live quite as long as women. They have a DNA that's an XY DNA, and women have an XX DNA, and a woman's DNA makes it a little stronger, and that's why you see so many little widows running around, because men have a tendency to die 6 to 7 years before women do. So don't get excited when you see the two marriages in there. Now, in your left hand only, who your guardian angel is going to show on that lifeline, and there are lines that come from the bottom of the lifeline, and they'll touch on the lifeline. There's a good timeline on that lifeline. About every 1/8 of an inch is about a year, and that starts between your thumb and your Jupiter finger at about age 10, where you're looking right straight onto that line. So I just count that down with my cursor. So here's the age you were when someone that you have bonded to has passed away and has become a guardian angel to you, like grandmas, grandpas, parents, siblings, aunties, uncles, cousins, old boyfriends, old girlfriends. This is your age when they passed away. All right, age 13, 14, 17, 18, and 20. Now that's on your left hand only. On your right hand only, this is a visit from a guardian angel, and the line again will show underneath that lifeline. The line will come up and touch on that lifeline at the age you were when you had a visit from a guardian angel, and you'll easily get visits from guardian angels all the time. If you're really sick, if you had an accident, if you're in distress, if you've been hurt, or if you've had someone that you bonded to and they've passed away. Very often that spirit, when it leaves their body, goes around and checks on all of its loved ones before it goes off into the light. So sometimes you'll get a double number in there. Oh, you've got a couple in there. Okay, here is a visit from a guardian angel on your right hand only at ages 13, 14, 19, 20, 21, and 25. Okay, let's see. Let's address this Girdle of Venus. That Girdle of Venus is not a usual line. It's a line that goes around the Saturn and the Sun finger. I put an asterisk there, but it sure is a messy asterisk. Go down the bottom of your page there where it says Girdle of Venus. It's some female problems. Sometimes when you have that Girdle of Venus, that keeps you from getting pregnant, but you've already had 2 children anyway, and that's all you're going to have. But it's some female problems. So generally, if you're out of place at the top, you can figure your lower spine's out. And that's what's causing your that Girdle of Venus, is that lower spine is out of place. That's why it's making the female problems. Okay, the heart line, the first major line in the hand, starts between the Jupiter and Saturn finger, comes down, it should make a nice curve, and then go to the flirt lines. Yours is kind of straight. That means you're kind of tough emotionally. Generally indicates you've been hurt, but your spine's all out of place, so that might be how you got hurt. There's 2 things you read in that: your emotions and your heart health. Your heart got a little tiny bit of heart health stress. Look in your upper left-hand corner of your chart where it says lines of energy, and run your finger down where it says islands, ISLANDS. That's a break in the energy of that line when you see those islands. The little ovals or little triangle-y things, little circles on the line, they generally hang below the line. And you're getting some little triangles in there, which is a little bit of stress because you're out of place right in that spine where your heart nerves are. Let's see. Over there underneath the Jupiter finger now. This is your 6th sense. You've got a really good one. You want to look for a nice little fat mount. It's a little fat pad right underneath that Jupiter finger. You got a good one. It's your intuition. Here's how that works. If you got a problem you got to solve, just clear your mind completely. Let it go blank for about 30 minutes. Then when you come back to solve the problem, you'll probably have it already solved because your intuition or your 6th sense has kicked in and helps you solve the problem. So listen to those little promptings inside your head. Okay, our last line is the fate line. Go down in your lower right-hand corner of your chart. Fate line is your career and your lifestyle. And that line goes from the base of your palm up to the Saturn finger only. Now, if you'll see, like I said, it's your career and your lifestyle. Every time that line breaks, it's a change in one or the other. Usually it's a change in both of them. Sometimes you'll get a little fork off that line. If it's just a little fork, it's just a little minor change. All right, start at the base of your palm. Yours is a private line. It's not. If it's sociable, it starts clear out to the side of your palm, but yours starts down the middle. Yours is a private line. You have to have a little private space once in a while. Okay, here's the changes. That starts at age 20 at the base of your palm. Where it crosses your headline, that's 40. Where it crosses your heart line, that's 50. And like I said, it goes up to the Saturn finger. Where it crosses that ring around the Saturn finger, that's 80. And usually then that'll go on up into the Saturn finger and tell you how long you're going to live. Okay, changes at age 26, 27, 32, and then from 37 to 45, it's 2 lines. That's 2 jobs at the same time. It can be It could be a hobby and a job. It could be two income producing jobs. It could be a job and a family. Then age, now that crosses the headline there at 40. Then age 48 to 60, there's 3 lines. Well, it says 3 different lines. And then 1 line to the left of the Saturn finger. See where the little asterisk goes over there? Go to the middle of your page at the bottom. Faint line to the left of the Saturn means the spine is jammed. Well, hello, we already knew that. And then you have 1 line that goes up to age 86. You're at the health you're in right now, you're going to live till you're 86. Okay, now go all the way up to your left-hand corner of your chart where it says achievement lines. These are the lines that come off the top of the lifeline. They'll either point to that Jupiter finger or they'll go straight up. If they're extra long, or if they've got, if they're real thick, or if they've got a lot of color in the line, they're extra good achievement lines. And so I circle them. So the ones that are circled are extra good achievement lines. Like I say, starting between the thumb and the Jupiter finger, that's age 10. So here's your achievement lines. Upper left-hand corner of your hand analysis chart. At age 12, 17, circled at 18, 20, 22, 24, circled at 30, 32, 33, 40, 44, 45, circled at 48, 49. Ooh, your 40s are going to be good to you. 50, 53, 56, 58, 61, 63, 67, 68, 70, and 71. Then they've gone all the way around the back of the thumb and I can't see them any longer. Oh, I missed it. Your little lucky sign. Look on the left-hand side of that Mercury finger where it says lucky sign. It's a little triangle. And like I say, it's a little triangle. Somebody outside started a motorcycle, sorry. It's a little triangle that just shows up in one of the lines. I think that one was in the lifeline. And it's a real positive time in your life, from age 40 to 43. So that's right now, isn't it? All right, your head and your spine line. Oh, I've kind of messed that line up. I hope you can read it. 2 things you read on this head and spine line. How smart you are by how straight across your hand that line goes. Yours is very intelligent, by the way. And then if you got any problems in that spine at all, it's going to show in that line, and I'll tell you why. I'm not just a palm reader. I've got a master's degree in health education, and when I was finishing I was in my 40s when I was finishing my degree in health ed, and I started reading the palmistry books, and everything had health stuff in it. In fact, if you read your palmistry books, there's just a contingent of health in there. And so I found this old book that was written by a medical doctor, Dr. Eugene somebody or other, and it's not in print anymore. And he tells how you can see the spine in the hand. Well, the spine runs our whole body. Find that chart that says understanding your cervical spine, and look down at the bottom of that, see what a vertebrae looks like. If you're looking down the top of it, 2 nerves come off of each side of each one of those vertebrae. And the vertebrae is the bony process that is in your spine. It covers up your spinal cord. And the nerves come out of the spinal cord, and they run to different areas of the body, and that's what runs your body. So find your chart now that says Chart of Effects of Spinal Misalignments. And on that left side, you'll see the picture of each one of those vertebrae. And if those vertebrae get twisted out of place or turned out of place, it'll pinch that nerve. The nerve goes out into the body, intermeshes with the muscles, And if you're getting a pinched nerve in there, it's sending a little signal. It goes, bzz, 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 and it makes a muscle spasm, and it holds that vertebrae out of place. Well, then those nerves go down, and they end up in your hands and your feet. And you can actually, that's how you read it on your hands. You can actually do some therapy on your hands, massage therapy, and kind of relieve some of those nerves. But where I've got that circled in red, that's where those vertebrae are turned out of place. Now see, the next column is the name of the vertebrae, your cervical, thoracic, lumbar. So underneath your Jupiter finger, it's going to show your cervical vertebrae 1 through 7. Underneath the Saturn finger, it'll show your thoracic vertebrae 1 through 12. Underneath that Sun finger, it'll show your lumbar vertebrae 1 through 5. And underneath that pinky finger, that is the Mercury finger, yeah, the Mercury finger, it's going to show your tailbone, sacrum and coccyx. Boy, you don't want that turned out of place. That is miserable when that gets out of place. And then the next area, on the next column it says areas. That's the area of your body that those nerves go to, that come off of each one of those vertebrae. The head, the pituitary, the eyes, the nose, the thyroid, the heart, the lungs, the stomach, etc., etc. And then the next column is the effects. This is the effects that you get when those vertebrae are kind of pushed out of place a little bit. Easy for them to get pushed out of place. If you've had a car accident or a bike accident, I'll tell you more about that in a minute here. This column is the effects that you get. Depression, strokes, ADD, ADHD, anxiety attacks, heart conditions, stomach troubles, etc. So all you do is just run your finger right across there, and you can see which vertebrae is out of place and what area it goes to, and then the effects when that gets turned out of place. Okay. Those vertebrae can get turned out of place quite easily. Like I say, car wrecks, accidents, horseback riding. I'll tell you a horseback story here in a minute. And falling off of a bicycle, wrecking getting whiplashes. That's really hard on you. Gymnastics, contact sports, just leaning over your computer causes some problems in that base of that neck. I call it the interneck. I've noticed that people can have really good spines, but they're out of place right there in the neck because they lean over those darn computers hour after hour. And I've got a little therapy for that. I can get that straightened out. Anyway, it's easy for the spine to get out of place. And that's where yours are out of place, is where I've got the red circles. And that's what it shows in your hand, is these little island things. If you're out of place at the top of the spine, it's going to throw you out in the lower spine to compensate. It'll turn out of place the opposite way. Alright, let's address some of these vertebrae that's out of place. That top one, you're out of place in that neck area, and right at the base of the neck, you got the inner neck. That's when you're leaning over that darn computer all the time. Let's see, what is it you said you do, city employee? You must sit at a desk over your computer for a while. So I tell my office workers to do this little therapy for the neck. And my medical doctor showed me this. This will pop those vertebrae back in place right at the base of your neck, where you get the interneck. Sit up in a chair straight, or stand up. Stand up's better. Put your arms right straight out in front of you. Now lock your fingers together and turn your palms over backwards. Now raise your arms above your head. That means your palms are facing the ceiling and your elbows are straight. Now push your arms back. Back behind your head. And you'll hear that go pop, pop, pop. pops that vertebrae back in place. Well, those vertebrae, it's about the 5C, 6C, 7C, 1T, 2T, 3T. That's especially those nerves that go to the heart and the lungs. It'll pop them back in place. And don't worry about the pops. The doctor says that that's just the gases releasing when they move back in place. So if you're sitting at a desk quite a bit, do that little therapy. A lot of my office workers do that once at lunch and once after work, and they say their spines feel a lot better. A lot better. You're probably going to have to go see a chiropractor and get straightened out. Let's see. And then see right there in your heart nerves, that 2T, that's what's causing that stress on that heart line. And then you got a little place right in that lower back that's out, but then you're out right there and clear down in your lower back in that 3L, 3 lumbar. That's where your female organs are. That's what's making that Girdle of Venus line in there, because that's turned out of place. Like I say, when you're turned out of place at the top, it's going to turn you out the opposite way in your lower spine. So get that straightened up. Go get a chiropractor. Chiropractors are cheap. They only charge $45, $50 to straighten up your spine. Well worth it. Now, if you want to keep that spine straight, let me tell you how to do that. I was set up at one time, we were doing a fundraiser for our high school, and so I'd set up in the gym, and I had a bunch of ladies come into the gym, and two of them walked over the table and had their hands read. Well, they had perfect spines. I couldn't believe it. And I told them, I said, I don't very often see a perfect spine. And they motioned their girlfriends to come over. And so I read all of their hands. There's 7 of them all together. And I read every hand, and every single one of those women had perfect spines. I couldn't believe it. And I looked up at them and said, are you girls trying to trick me or something? And they were joking and laughing off to the side. And finally one of the little gals walked over and she says, Kat, I better tell you. She said, we're the walking club. We walk 7 miles every day. She says, when we walk at a good fast pace. Well, that makes sense, because those 2 big old leg muscles are hooked to those 2 muscles that go along each side of the spine. And when you walk, especially at a good fast pace, that moves those back muscles up and down, and it strengthens them. And it holds that spine in place good. So that's why they had such excellent spines, is from the walking. Oh, I'm not saying you got to go walk 7 miles a day. Probably a time or 2 around the block will do it. But walk at a good fast pace and keep that spine in shape. That's important, that you keep the spine healthy. The length of the fingers are your talents. Everyone has talents. No one gets cheated. So long fingers mean one thing, short mean another thing, and nothing's good or bad. It's all got good qualities. Look down there in the lower right-hand corner of your chart where it says palm shapes. The shape of your palm is probably your most important talent, and you have an artistic palm. It's kind of a rectangular, but it's got roundness on the side. That means you see color and proportion, things that fit together well. Go to the upper right-hand corner of your chart where it says type of fingertips. This is your personality. And let's see, you got all round. I only do 5 fingers. All rounded fingers. Intuitive, quick, compassionate. Generally, I see those on people in the health field, like the doctors, nurses, social workers. All right, jump back down there to the thumb. Oh, look at that. You got a short thumb. That is excellent. That means you work well with numbers. Good at math, good at arithmetic. Now, the Jupiter finger, your index finger. Let me explain these names. Palmistry is about 2,000 or 3,000 years old, and they had gone through and named all the fingers and different areas of the palm. And the names they used were generally names of Greek gods or goddesses or astrological names. So that index finger is the Jupiter finger, the middle one is the Saturn finger, and the ring finger is the Sun finger, and the little finger is the Mercury finger. Now that section right between the head and the heart line, that is clear across the palm. That's called the Mars area. And then another important area in the palm is right at the base of the thumb, that little fat pad. It's called the Mount of Venus. Venus, goddess of love, because that's going to tell you what your sexual libido is like. But more important than that, it's going to tell you if you're drinking enough water. Yours is slightly dehydrated. I'm seeing a couple little wrinkles in there. You want to see that little pad so fat you can hardly pinch the skin on it. So you need to drink a little bit more water, about 32 ounces a day. Back up to the Jupiter finger, the index finger. That is short. Self-motivated worker. You work very well on your own. You don't have to have somebody standing over your shoulder. A Saturn finger, short, concerned with social issues, very compassionate. Again, the word compassionate, very caring about your fellow man. Oh, that ring finger's long. Excellent. That's your creative, imaginative, inventive finger. That goes right along with your artistic palm. That's very nice. And the little finger's short, hands-on person, very active. Sitting at a desk is not your favorite thing to do. Oh, I'll bet you sit at a desk. You're just a city employee. It doesn't say what you do. Anyway, you need to be up and move around a little bit.